Welcome to the Murder Mavens Book Club podcast. This week we are talking about the book Murder on the Orient Express. I think everyone's probably read it by now, but if you haven't, just know there's going to be spoilers. And if you haven't read it and seen the movie, it's the same ending, people. There's no difference. Okay, Christine's over there saying, maybe there is. But as the Murder Mavens Book Club, we just come together and we're talking. And we're talking about the book just like any other book club. So we hope you enjoy being with us today. And Christine, you wanted to talk about what book we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll give a little background into the book and a little bit on the author, which of course is the fabulous Agatha Christie. She wrote in her literary career 66 novels and 14 short story collections. This was her 16th novel. It was published in the UK in early January of 1934 under Murder on the Orient Express, but in the US when it was published published as Murder on the Calais Coach to avoid confusion with Graham Greene's recent Istanbul train, which was published in the US as Orient Express. So they wanted to stay away from being confused, so it was Murder on the Calais Coach in the US. More than likely, she drew inspiration from the recent tragic Lindbergh kidnapping that had happened 2 years before, and her own journey in late 1928 on the actual Orient Express. This was the 8th appearance of Hercule, one of our favorite detectives. And do I need to say anything else? I don't think so.
I don't know. John, you want to tell us who Hercule Poirot is?
Hercule Poirot is probably the most famous of detectives after Sherlock Holmes. He is the little Belgian, emphasize not French, former policeman in Belgium who came to England as part of, I think, World War I refugee. He established himself as a consulting detective and has been quite successful. He uses what he calls the little gray cells, in that he gets all the information he can and then he sits and he thinks. He thinks through how the murder could be committed, and voila, the answer.
It just happens, yes. Well, we follow the same format that we've used in our Mystery Book Club for many, many, many years. How long did we meet as the Mystery Book Club?
July made 14 years.
14 years. 14 years. And the four of us were part of that book club for many, many years. Now, Christine moved away, so she hasn't been a part of the book club, but today we have the honor of all four of us being in the same place because we're at the Jane Austen Annual General Meeting. So we're actually recording from a hotel room, but we thought this was a great opportunity. When the Murder Mavens are together, you gotta take that opportunity and run with it. So we are recording this podcast today about the Murder on the Orient Express. So we're going to follow that same format where everyone gets 2 minutes to talk about the book. And Jennifer, why don't you start? What did you think of the book?
Well, I thought it was a classic Agatha Christie book. As with many of hers, she takes a genre and puts new twists in it, and then people later copycat those twists. So her novel, in this case, takes a new twist in that the way the ending is. We've all read the ending, right? So I can
list spoilers are fine. Yep.
So in having it not just one culprit, but almost everybody on the train other than our famous detective and his writing companion take part or have knowledge of this, what's going on. So that was a new twist, a new way of doing it. As usual, I listen to the audio on most books, and depending on the reader, it makes more literal sense. When I first listened to it, of course, I don't know the ending, but having watched movies and read this book many times, I knew the ending when I reviewed it this time. So at that point, you're looking at backwards and seeing all the red herrings and the things that tricked you up last time.
Christine, what do you think? Or what do you think?
It's one of my favorite Christies. It's probably, I think it was either the first or the second Christie that I read. Many, many years ago, I was reading Agatha Christie junior, senior high, and I remember not knowing the ending. Hadn't seen, even though the 74 movie had come out, I wasn't old enough to go see it because I'm quite young.
I'm sorry, we have to laugh at that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it was, so I didn't know the ending, and I just remember being shocked that it wasn't 1 or 2 or 3, but 12. And going backwards in the book, flipping back through to find those red herrings, like you say, Jennifer, but I remember taking the time to go, oh wait, yes, oh, of course, and how they just kind of wove their way around. But as I'm older and having read it, I kind of think, okay, he wasn't supposed to be on the train, and so how did they so quickly put those in his path if they weren't expecting him, and how impossible some of the stuff, because told backwards, it would be as if it comes off more that they were expecting, or they were certainly prepared for such a brilliant mind to be on the train. But I have more things to say, but I think my 2 minutes are up.
Well, I think I'm not a big fan of Poirot. I really prefer Miss Marple, but I think this is probably my favorite Poirot. It's just fascinating in its intricacy. I think, I'm sitting here thinking about what Christine just said, and I wonder, we tend to give Agatha Christie credit for being so brilliant, but maybe, considering what Christine just said, is it possible that Christie just made a mistake and didn't hide well enough the fact that these people should not have had this problem with this smarty on the train? I don't know, that's interesting. I never really thought about that. I do think the whole concept is fascinating, though, and I love the whole is it justice or revenge aspect of the murder. I think that more than anything, that's probably the clearest version of is it justice or revenge in any book about murder that I've read.
Which is something that we bring up over and over and over when we're discussing our murder mysteries. Yeah. But before we get into any more discussion, I get my 2 minutes.
There you go.
So I will say I don't remember the first time I read the book. So I don't remember that surprise element, but I will say, kind of like Christine, going back and reading it again or listening to it like Jennifer did and watching a few of the movies, I've had the exact same thought of it's a little too contrived, that how did she get there? But I'm fascinated because I think it has all the elements of a great murder mystery in that it is a claustrophobic atmosphere on this train with stuck in the snow. There's no one else that can come here. They can't leave. You're stuck there. So like even the murderer couldn't have left. He says that, they couldn't, you'd see tracks in the snow or what, that you can't go. So I love that. And I love that it follows the classic Poirot structure of you meet all these characters, then you hear about what happened, and he starts to ask questions, and then you just see all of a sudden he works his little gray cells and comes to the answer, and I really like that. I thought that some of it wasn't really, going back and looking again didn't work as well for me because it was too contrived, but it's still a great romp. It's fun to go through. So okay, that's our 2 minutes each, and I think everyone should always have a chance to talk about it, and I wish our people listening had a chance to give us their 2 minutes because everyone always has something that we get to hear about, but sorry, you don't get to today.
Call 1-800.
So let's go to what do you think of all the clues and red herrings? I mean, there is so many in this, and I think one of the versions I watched on a movie, Poirot even makes the comment saying there's too many clues. There's the button, there's the red robe, there's just too many. And they all are really the red herrings. Like you said, they were put there because they wanted to make him think something else had happened. So
there are too many characters, too many stories to keep straight. It's
right.
I need on a list, one of those lists of who are the characters and what's their background story. That's part of the herring for me, is trying to navigate who is who and how their relationships are. And then, of course, her big twist comes in it. They're all made up stories in some way or another, it seems like.
No, but I found that fascinating that they are all telling the truth. He asks every one of them, do you know Armstrong? Or did you know that? And they all tell the truth. They don't lie about anything in this thing. They just find ways to lead him astray when they're answering. Do you know... they all, oh yes, I knew Mrs. Armstrong this. Oh, by the way, did you see I found this button?
Well, I think they tell some of the truth. I don't think they tell all of the truth.
Oh no, but they
Right.
answer his
But
question.
they answer his questions, yeah. And the red herrings for me were, again, when I think back, not the first time I read it, but now when I reread it, it's the idea that while they put a lot of things into place awfully fast, and in reading and preparing for it today, I read some of the critical reception of the book when it came out, and there was disbelief at that the plot and solution verged on the impossible, and it's the perfect crime if not for the presence of him. So if he wasn't there, it would have been a perfect crime, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh,
they
yeah.
would have gotten off at the next station and he would have been dead, and that to me is a little, if you think about all the red herrings, I mean, when did they get together to talk about them? When did they get together to say, okay, we're going to put the button here and the dagger here and the silk robe here, and we're going to smudge her passport. There's all these things that didn't have to happen if he wasn't on the train. And at what point does he get on the train that they go, oh my gosh, he's going to be on the train? Because it's fairly last minute.
Oh, it's very last
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, because he can't get
You can't find a berth, and that's not a red herring. That was done because they always reserved that berth for the conductor under Mr. Harris, which isn't a red herring, but sounds and feels like a red herring. But they didn't do it. They wanted to buy out the car, right? And they couldn't because of that one berth.
But they
that was then given
they
up
thought
for.
they'd bought it out. Yeah. And
Right.
then when he shows up, they're
Yeah.
like, well,
So,
who are you?
Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting take on that. Yeah, I think you're just blowing my mind, Christine,
Yeah, you're
because I think that, well, let's think this through. So Poirot is on the train. Poirot does solve the murder. But you said if Poirot hadn't been there, they'd have gotten to the next station and gone off the train and gone on. But somebody would have discovered the dead body. And then there would have been a police investigation by someone who was maybe not sympathetic to their cause. And someone, perhaps more than one someone, would have been arrested and the whole thing would have fallen apart. So without Poirot being on the train, someone's going to hang for that murder.
Or maybe they'd already had all the clues set up. It's just they had to use them with him because the clues
Maybe.
were directing it from them all along. I hadn't thought about that
police,
either.
the Turkish police had come on board, and Poirot wasn't there. Turkish police come on board, they question everyone, they're able to give an alibi that on the top looks good. They've got the open window. They know he's pursued by mafioso. To me, that's kind of loose, but okay, we'll take that. They're in Turkey. Couldn't have been someone he robbed when he was in Istanbul, because he was known for, wasn't Cassetti doing something shoddy with his business?
Archaeological
He had to,
digs,
didn't he have
like-
to get out of town?
Probably.
I think so. So it's like, well, it's interesting. They jumped to the Italians.
No, isn't
Well,
that true?
and that's a whole nother question is there's a lot of racism in this book.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of racism.
There's a lot of racism in all of her books.
Yeah.
She is so anti-Semitic, it's really disgusting.
Yeah.
She never misses an opportunity to say, well, this guy's a Jew and he's doing this, some sort of racially motivated thing that she has found to complain about. Not that the person doing it is racially motivated, but
Right.
that she has, her explanation is racially motivated, whether you're Jewish, you're black, you're whatever.
It's been a real controversy lately in reissuing some of her books and with her estate. Do you edit those things out? Do you keep them in? There's been a lot of back and forth about that. And
Do you accept it as the work that was written at the time, as that's the culture? Editing it would be difficult for me. Although I have no problem changing the title of 10 Little Indians, but it's not even Indians.
Well, and that's I think there's a difference between also if the characters are racist or if you feel like there's an overtone of racism too. So the director is very racist. Every time they bring there's certain people that he assumes are guilty because of their background, their history, their culture, their race, that he assumes guilt before they even get in the room. Well, that's the character. Is that her or is there character? Well, she wrote it, but you could also say she was writing it as that character would be, where Poirot doesn't bring that in. in this book anyway.
But the character's motivation is this, or their background is this, versus Agatha Christie's slant. Therefore, it's written that way.
Yeah.
But to go back to changing the names of things, I mean, didn't I read that there's a hue and cry about Dr. Seuss, and they're wanting to change his books?
There's some that they've taken off.
Right.
They're not selling it.
Right. Or Roald Dahl.
Yes, Roald Dahl.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't have to read these books. You should read these books. You shouldn't put yourself in an ivory tower.
Yeah, you don't have to read them if you're
right.
If you know it's going to be somewhat offensive to you. Don't read it.
Right.
As a children's librarian, I read like the Mulberry, or you don't. What is it? To think that I saw it on Mulberry Street. It's not even in print anymore because of the racist pictures that are in there. But they can also be used as a teaching tool in some circumstances, as long as you are guiding the students and helping them to be aware of what's going on. And it is an important piece of literature.
It's also an important piece of American history.
Yeah,
to pretend we didn't.
Right.
We didn't live a certain way. Yeah.
I mean, just because it's whitewashed out, we pretend it's not there, doesn't mean the issue was not there. Getting back to Agatha Christie and her plot devices, she'd written how many?
This is that what I said?
16th, I think she said. I think you said 67.
66 novels, 14 short story collections. This was her 16th novel.
And she liked to mix things up. She liked, I think, as a writer, it seems like she liked to challenge herself to solve puzzles in different ways. So this was maybe a challenge to her to throw out. Let's see how this device goes. It would have been easy to write off 66 in the same formulaic kind of thing, like Jessica Fletcher.
Yeah, right.
or Dick Francis. I got to the point I could not read any more Dick Francis books. He's saying changes the location, but it's the exact same formula.
Yeah. But she doesn't. She, early in her career, is mixing it up a lot.
So one of the things I was thinking was the ending satisfying or implausible? We've been talking about that, but does your opinion change over time about it being satisfying or implausible? Like the more we see more of the adaptations, so where you go back to the book, are you still as happy with that ending?
So what's interesting is the book simply stops after he has confronted them. Well, actually, confronted is maybe not the right word, but when he presents the two possible scenarios to them and he walks them through the simple one and then the more complex one, there isn't a scene afterwards in which we see them do anything, celebrate, which we see in the film adaptations, or do anything. He just simply says his last line, I can't remember what it is now, and that's the end of the book. And so I find that the book ending to be actually more satisfying than the film adaptations. I am uncomfortable. I know we're not talking about film yet. I am uncomfortable.
It is part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really did not care for the champagne toast at the end of the 1974 adaptation, where there's a party. Now, granted, was he a horrific man who did a horrific thing? Absolutely. But I don't know that I would have looked what we did. Not that it was more than look what he's gone.
Look what we got away with.
Look what we got away with, and revenge, because that's revenge.
Revenge,
right? That's not seeking justice.
No,
that was all about revenge, in my opinion. So
and that's what we're talking.
That's what we're talking about.
And I think justifiable revenge, if any.
Certainly,
murder could
the
ever
murder
be
of a
justified.
small child and in such a disaster.
Well,
and
not just her murder, the ripple effect of all the other
effect
people
of
who
all the-
died too.
Yes. Absolutely, but it just that.
But see, now when I saw that ending, I did not see it as a celebratory. I did not see it as a party. I saw it as they were all toasting closure. It's like it's done. They were toasting one person, giving a toast to her, and then they walk on. I think it was
Linda.
Linda,
The mother.
The mother. So it's kind of like, because she was the one who brought them together. She was the one who did all this. They came in and they gave a toast and then they walked out. There wasn't the, hooray, we're done, because they all have to live with this for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
That is some justice right there, too, knowing. And,
So Agatha Christie, when she was writing her book, what was the purpose of her ending? Was it to just prove she'd solved the puzzle, or was it to have a just ending that crime doesn't pay?
or to have a surprise that no one could see because, like you said, trying to find something new. I will say, when I was kind of doing some research, since I knew we were going to talk about a book that we'd all read a long time ago, I found a Reddit blog where someone actually wrote in his notebook, and he put it on Reddit, what his thought was at the end of every chapter. Who did he think the murderer was?
He was tracking his...
And so at the end of every chapter, it would be like another surprise. Well, no, I really think it's this person, because, that new clue comes out or whatever. Then he'll go, I think it was 2 people. And, and then he gets to the end and he was shocked. It was good for me to see that thought process, because I think that's probably what I was going through as I read it, because you guys know I like to try to solve the mystery as we go through. I don't always get it right.
I never get it right, even when it's the title of the book.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'll explain that in the next podcast. It's pretty funny,
I
actually.
read the ending first, so I always...
That's right. Jennifer reads the ending first.
That just pains me in such a way.
Well, because you and I like to solve it.
I guess.
Yeah.
So,
it's like you're playing along with the book.
Well, I'm listening to the audiobook, then I have to go to the bookstore and find the book.
Is that what you do when you're listening to an audiobook? You'll go to a bookstore and you'll read the last chapter?
I have been known to do that.
Jennifer. It's interesting.
I sleep better at night.
Because you know how it's going to end. What happens when those books where the last chapter isn't actually the solution, but then they have like a nice little chapter where they go off to Rome and have a nice vacation?
Keep reading backwards.
Until you get to the okay.
Sometimes they do have the ending, the nice little ending chapter. Then I have to read 2 chapters back.
One thing I'd like to mention is how Poirot decided that it really was someone who got aboard the train and murdered him. Poirot puts aside his duty to reveal the murderer. Mm-hmm. What's his thought process? Does he feel bad for the family? Does he feel bad for the little girl who was murdered? He just, he upended years and years and years of faithful dedication to justice.
Serving justice.
Yeah.
Because he does not serve justice in this book. And it's almost, there's a small betrayal to self, right?
I don't know that he doesn't serve justice.
Okay. Oh, because he doesn't turn them in.
No, because, what was his name? Sarchetti? Cassetti. Ratchet. Mm-hmm. He got away with murder, literally. Mm-hmm. So it was, in a way, justice.
And it was a jury of 12.
Right.
The jury of 12
right.
that decided he needed to die.
Yeah.
They had it. Wasn't there even a judge that was one of the 12?
No.
Okay.
No.
I was confused on who that character was.
But the thing is, which character?
There's a doctor.
Yeah, I mean...
detective.
Everybody is related somehow to the situation. But I think that, I don't know that so much it was kindness. It's just he realizes sometimes justice cannot be served by the law. Those are 2 very different things.
Absolutely.
There's law and then there's justice. Mm-hmm. And I think Poirot always wants to see justice done, not necessarily just, adhere to the law.
Right.
But wasn't this really revenge?
Revenge on the part of the 12. Yes, absolutely. And it's almost like they are being put on trial, and the judge is Poirot, and he sees it from a different angle. He says, yes, I can understand, because Ratchet was never, I don't know, was he brought to trial and let go?
Yes,
I don't remember.
He was brought to trial and let go, yeah. Got off. I think. Well, I said that with confidence.
Well, he must have, because he was on the train and not in jail.
Yeah, well, no, but I don't know if they ever arrested him.
Right,
They
right.
arrested accomplices.
Right.
But go ahead. I'm looking that up. Take time.
So I think it's 2 sides of the same coin. I think Poirot is the justice side, and certainly the 12 are the revenge side. Because Poirot
but in the end, it is justice. It gets very intermingled. Yeah.
Poirot has no need for revenge.
Mm-hmm.
All right? But I think Poirot can see justice has not been served in the past, and he has the opportunity to adjudicate this happening.
So he had been arrested, but because he had so much money, he was acquitted on a technicality.
Oh, okay.
And so there was a lot of public uproar around the acquittal, and that's when he fled to Europe. So he gets away out of America, and then he reinvents himself as this other name. He lives under this other name.
So I'm going to skip a little bit here just because I want, we have all mentioned the movies that we know that there was at least 3 English-speaking movies made. There was also a Japanese language movie and a German language movie. I've never seen either one of those. There was at least 2 stage productions done of it. There's also a ITV TV version of it done with David Suchet. Suchet. And there was also, there's a few computer games done with it. So,
Really?
Yeah. Now, because I am a completist, I wanted to see every version of this before we talked. I did watch the 2001 made-for-TV CBS TV version of it with Alfred Molina as Poirot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dedication to your craft.
Wow. I would have just kind of glanced past that one. Sorry, he ruined 3 pints, okay? He ruined it, okay?
Well, and I have to say, it was the precious, to me, take on it because they tried to update it. You know, that they were trying to bring it to current time for 2001. There were cell phones, there was computers, there was things like that, which you sometimes wonder, what would Hercule Poirot do? Would his little gray cells be as useful if people can Google everything they want now, you know? So, but I think I know who's everyone's favorite version is right now, but why don't we just, everyone yell it out? No.
1974.
Albert Finney.
1974?
Yeah, the
The
early
Cindy
one.
Lumet, Albert Finney, 1974. Is that your favorite too?
No, because it's David Suchet for me. I just think Albert Finney is so over-the-top ridiculous. I find it hard to take him seriously, but David Suchet I can certainly take seriously. I think the one with Kenneth Branagh, not even Kenneth Branagh can save him.
He's one of my favorite actors,
Yeah.
and I was horrified.
I was embarrassed for him.
Yeah.
But see, I
He
liked
doesn't
it.
run. The man doesn't run.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a fight on scaffolding.
Yeah.
It's Hercule. He likes a comfy, cozy fire and wants to put his feet up. He ain't running.
And his feet are a little too
Little-
big for his shoes.
Right.
And they're
Because
always
he was
hurting.
really the
Fashion.
shoes that hurt. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fashion over comfort, that man.
I couldn't see past the mustache.
Now, Barb and I had a debate about the mustache, because I was always of the thought that was over the top. The Branagh version was over the top. But
I did point out in the book, it says it's an
Enormous.
enormous mustache
Yeah.
with curling ends that peek out over the muffler.
Yeah.
Because he's all, so you know it's got to be going up
gotta
pretty
be
high.
big.
It's a big mustache, not like the David Suchet
no,
mustache.
which
not-
is lovely. But, the Albert Finney,
Albert Finney.
his was large. I would not have called it enormous. It was larger than the Suchet version. But it wasn't just the mustache for me and the fight on the scaffolding. It was more of the some of my
Opulence?
favorite actors and actresses are in that movie. And
The 74 version.
the
No,
2017
she's saying she doesn't
version.
like the 2017 version,
But
but
it
she likes the
pains
people.
me. Yeah, I mean, Olivia Colman, Judi Dench. I mean, there's some incredible talent in this film, and I just it can't be saved.
Well, and I think it loses the, what was the word I used? The closed-in feel, the claustrophobic feel.
Claustrophobic. Well, it's
It
a
loses
closed
that.
room mystery if you think about it.
Yeah.
It's a locked
Locked door.
locked door
Locked door
mystery.
mystery.
But in
You
that
know.
2017 version, they're running up and down the tray, on top of the train, outside the train, they're all over the train. So you lose it. And the sets, when you're watching it, it's so big as they're walking.
Yeah.
That's a huge train that they're on.
Right.
I've never been on a train that big.
It's skinny. I mean, the
In real
74
life,
version,
yes.
when Lauren Bacall opens her door, there's this much room between her door and the window. That's accurate. I mean, when they slam open and they're right in someone's face, that's accurate.
Right, and that's
Yeah.
what I keep thinking. Like Joan says, you want to go
Oh, I'd
ride
love
the
to
Orient
go.
Express. To me, it looks like a tiny train. I'm like, why would you spend that much money to be on these tiny little cars and have to sleep on something that they drop out of the ceiling? And
But that's true of any train.
I know, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's not just because it's the Orient Express doesn't make it bigger, but in the movies sometimes I think we
Makes
think
it
it's
better.
bigger.
It makes it better. Hello.
Could I just
know
go-
who we're gonna bump into?
Can I just go back to the mustaches for a moment? Throughout many of the Poirot books, not just this one, Christie does describe them as military mustaches, which means they would be big like Branagh had them, but I think they would be more tailored. to get the groomed, get the effect.
But he hasn't very well groomed because he sleeps with the little thing. I mean, he's got the stuff that curls
but it's
up.
not. It's just people can't see. But I mean, it goes beyond. It wasn't a proper Van Dyke. First of all, he only had the little bit underneath, and it went,
just in this
there
one,
was
and the other one he doesn't.
There's a mustache, and then underneath the mustache, he has these cheek hair that is not part of the actual mustache, because your mustache is only the hair over your lips, and he's no, it's wrong. Ken, you're wrong.
As usual.
One of the scenes,
Christie
though,
knows what's right and wrong. The rest of us don't.
100%.
in the 2017 version, though, I will say one of my favorite scenes. Overall, I like that version, but I don't like how athletic Poirot is portrayed. But one of my favorite scenes is when Poirot is interviewing the butler. So it's Kenneth Branagh sitting across the table from Derek Jacobi. The two bull elephants of the English stage facing off. I just find that so exciting.
Well, and what's very interesting is when Branagh was trying to secure funding to film Henry V, and he made the movie Dead Again. Who does he cast? Derek Jacobi.
And that's a good movie too, Dead Again.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Emma Thompson. This is before their meteoric.
Yes.
They haven't really become famous in the U.S. at all, and not too many people had heard of any. Derek Jacobi because of Claudius. But so here's this movie that comes out, Dead Again, and they're speaking with American accents. No one realizes they're really British, trying to make a movie about a Shakespeare play. So I just always found that funny that. He's pulling in Judi Dench. He's pulling in people from his Who Have I Worked With catalog, On
the stage. These are stage actors.
Yes.
They're not movie stars.
Right. Yeah.
Which is not like the
same.
74 version.
Or you're pulling in Laura McCall, right? And getting in movie stars and Ingrid Bergman and
top tier movie stars.
Right.
But because Michael York was in Cabaret.
Right.
And
Logan's Run.
Well, you can't forget that.
Can't forget that.
So that was the only point I wanted to make.
It made it into a play too. I saw at the Repertory Theater they had a play, The Orient Express, last year, and the set was fascinating the way that train worked with the doors and the intricacy.
I saw it at Kirkwood Community Theater? I don't remember now. It was a community theater where I'd seen many things before, and it wasn't called Murder on the Orient Express. It was Murder at Sea. It was Murder on the Orient Express, but they weren't able to use the actual title for some reason that I forget. It was god-awful.
It was,
It was god-awful.
Which leads me to, could be what might be our last question, I'll see. But I wanted to know before we ended, would Sherlock Holmes solve the crime the same way? Or Miss Marple, or whatever? If we're thinking other famous mystery authors.
Well, Sherlock Holmes, he knew everything, and there were always things that there was just nobody could know.
He held his cards so closely to the chest, the reader would not have been able to. The story would not have revealed the clues.
There'd be some sort of scientific something that we wouldn't have known.
It would have been and I knew this because the spot on the ceiling, 4 doors down.
Do you really think that this this version enables the reader to figure it out?
I think all the clues are there.
Yes,
because
reading, but reading in one direction. Is there enough information given to the reader?
I think it's there. It's just we have to be able to synthesize out that you have to be able to process, get beyond the we're looking for one murder or two. Yeah. It's once you let go of that.
Yeah, and they do. She does tell us that the doctor says that the wounds, there are 12 stab wounds, and they're all very different.
Some are right-handed, left-handed.
Shallow and deep, and
So the clues are there. It's just, it's hard for us to think, can 12 people work together? Because every person he talks to now we see also has Armstrong connection. They've all admit to knowing Armstrong, having some Armstrong connection. But it's hard for us to get beyond there. Like Jennifer had said early on, it was a whole new idea that Christie comes up with these new ideas to try something new.
I do think Miss Marple could have done it, though.
I do too. I was going to say,
I love Miss Marple.
I think if someone they would have had to invite her along because she wouldn't have been able to afford to go.
Or her nephew Raymond would have sent her.
Right. for a holiday.
Right, exactly.
In
And
the warm
Jane,
sun.
right.
Yep, right. And she finds herself on this train. Oh, what an interesting take. Okay, so, and she would have been knitting in the lounge car or the dining car, right, the whole time. And she'd be like very solicitous. Nope, that's
Solicitous.
thank you. To, missionary, and and the German maid, and she would have been bunking with one of them.
I think she would have seen through somebody.
Yeah.
And of course, she always does her. Well, back in St. Mary Mead,
Yeah.
I think she would have identified who these people are, or at least some of them, way before Poirot did.
Yeah, I agree. And with a gentle smile, not have said anything to anyone about it, but just kind of filed that away as a little fact in her head. I actually am very intrigued with the idea of Miss Marple being on that train.
It's a cool vision.
That's actually kind of amusing.
Could
What would have happened? How would it have played out? I think we would have gotten to the same end. I don't know that she would have given two solutions. I think she would have.
Just straight out said it. Do you think she would have let them get away with it?
No, I don't.
Oh, I think she would have.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you see that? It's not kindness. It's not a kindness
What's not a kindness?
to let them get away with it.
I don't think she was necessarily always kind. She knew that human nature was sometimes not that way.
Right. So why would she let these 12 go?
Because she understands what their motivation was.
Okay.
And the lack of justice by the courts, that the legal system did not serve them.
Yeah, it felt.
And she also understands these people are not, they're not going to go rampaging through streets,
That's a good
killing
point.
people.
Yeah, this was a one
and
time,
done.
more than likely, no one's ever going near this again. Yeah.
Revenge to get justice. I guess
Yeah.
that's how you would say it.
And not
these
murder
people-
for murder's sake.
They're not going to be doing it again. Yeah.
And I think we can say that if it were Jessica Fletcher, she would have touched all the clues, moved them around, made
Not
it
told the
impossi-
police.
Not told the police, made it impossible for
But
the
they were
police.
bumbling.
I just,
Yeah.
I think, wow, Miss Marple instead of Poirot.
Yeah.
There's
I think
fan
that's-
fiction for you there. There's
Yeah,
fan
fan
fiction.
fiction.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Well, at the beginning of the podcast here, I mentioned that we're at the annual general meeting of the Jane Austen Society, and one of the fun things about that is people do a lot of fan fiction with Jane Austen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of Christie fan fiction, but maybe there is. Maybe
We
there's.
haven't looked. Yeah.
Oh, there's definitely Jane Austen. Is that what you mean?
No, there's Jane Austen
Agatha.
fan fiction,
Agatha
but
Christie.
Agatha Christie
Right.
fan fiction,
Right.
but Sherlock Holmes, we know that they're writing those
Oh,
again.
yeah.
That's being written again,
what's
or
interesting-
Moriarty, we know was written.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't mention Moriarty.
We'll
That
get
will
to
be
Moriarty.
explained in the next podcast. But there's your
That's
clue.
not going to be our
There
next book.
is your clue.
There's definitely Agatha Christie fan fiction. There's a whole little series on PBS they show, 3 different ones, where Agatha is the detective.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I like
Oh,
that.
that's right. Yes. They
No.
did very much.
Oh,
Yes.
you're talking about the ones where it takes place in the 30s or whatever. She goes to Egypt and stuff. I loved those.
Yeah, I thought those were good too. Yeah. Just a quick fact, one last factoid for us. She was not a fan of all the adaptations to film, especially. While she liked Margaret Rutherford, she did not care for those adaptations. However, the 1974 film, when it premiered in London, her appearance at that premiere was one of her last public appearances before she passed away. Yeah.
Well, I think we've pretty much covered the book and the adaptations. Of course, we're going to have, when we turn off the recording, we're going to have more to say, just because that's what it's like when you're with us.
That's what it
we
is.
always have something more to say, but we can't keep you on here forever, everyone. But Christine is going to host our next episode, and Christine has already chosen our next book, and that is
Richard Osman's The Thursday Murder Club.
Oh,
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to jump in here. After recording this episode, we realized we all didn't have access to the Thursday Murder Club. So we changed our book before we recorded the next episode to The Marlowe Murder Club by Robert Thorogood. I think everyone's going to enjoy that one just as much, or I know we did. And it also has a Netflix version that can be watched, or a series of them, or actually it was PBS, not Netflix. But anyway, our next book is going to be The Marlowe Murder Club, and we hope you can join us for that.
Yeah.
Boy, do I have something to say about the casting of that movie.
Well, okay,
That's
save it
right.
for next
Hold
time.
that for the
Okay,
adaptation section.
Thanks for joining us. We're the Murder Mavens Book Club podcast, and we hope you join us again next time.
You know what?
Bye.
We never did. No, don't say bye yet. We never introduced who we were.
No, we're good.
You sure?
We don't
Okay.
need anybody to know anything but our names.
No, not necessarily.
See, we
names.
said that we were going to have more to say, and here we are
Here we
still
are.
talking.
It's going. Well, shouldn't we? At least we can call ourselves by our first names, can't we?
We did.
We did.
We did.
I kept
But
referring
like,
to
where
you
did
as
you
Christine.
come from? Like, well,
No.
why
Why
are you
is
so
that-
smart? Why are you so knowledgeable?
We
What
want them
else
to
do you
keep
read?
listening, and we'll
Yeah.
do little clues throughout.
They'll learn about us as
Yeah.
well.
We'll leave breadcrumbs.
I'm an open book, and they're refusing to let me be.
Yeah, we're trying to shut it with a big
Okay, Bob.
slam.
If you pay to become a member of our whatever it is, what
She's
is it?
monetizing this already.
There'll be the extra-
T-shirts will
Jennifer
be
has
available.
left the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Jennifer has left the podcast, and so will we. Thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed. Bye, everybody.
Bye.